So today I'd like to address a shooting that happened Wednesday. I want to start off by wishing the victim well in this case, wishing him a fast and full recovery as he continues to heal in the hospital. On Wednesday, police officers from the 5th Precinct responded to the hospital where there was a report of a man that was in the hospital where it was discovered that he was injured by gunfire. Prior to this, the victim reported to us that his neighbor had threatened to shoot him if he touched a specific tree. On Wednesday, at some point while the victim was cutting that tree, he was injured. At first, the victim did not know that he was injured by gunfire. Victim's wife came home and found him lying on the floor and believed he had a heart attack. He was transported by EMS to the hospital, where medical personnel then discovered that he had been shot. When officers spoke to the victim at the hospital, he could not recall the events prior to him being transported, and including the fact that he had been shot. There were no witnesses to the shooting and no 911 calls regarding shots fired. I am grateful that our investigators worked so quickly to submit charges to the attorney's office, especially considering no one heard or saw a suspect shoot the victim, and that the victim could not recall what happened. This is an incredibly frustrating situation for everyone involved, especially those at the police department who have been involved in these cases, dozens of them, for months. We've been working to arrest the suspect in this case since at least April of this year, when harassment charges were first declined by the county attorney's office and then filed with the city attorney's office. No Minneapolis police officers have had in-person contact with that suspect since the victim in this case has been calling us. I recognize that there are a lot of questions about why we have not applied or executed a search warrant on the address. Let me lay out the realities in this case. We have an arrest warrant. We have a suspect who is mentally ill, and now he is known to possess firearms. He has had in the past violent confrontations, and he refuses to cooperate in the dozens of times that police officers have responded to the residents. Per Minneapolis police policy, an execution of any warrant would be deemed a high-risk warrant based on any of these factors. All of this to say, based on our assessment, the likelihood of an armed, violent confrontation where we may have to use deadly force with the suspect in this case is high. And prior to Wednesday, all we had was a threats warrant. In attempting to make an arrest that was safe for the victim, as well as the officers, the suspect, and Minneapolis community, we wanted to arrest the suspect where he would be least likely to have access to firearms. That is outside the residence. Unfortunately, in this case, this suspect is a recluse and has not often come out of the house. When the victim made previous calls to 911 regarding the suspect, patrol officers attempted to knock and announce themselves to the suspect at this address. He refused to come to the door every time. Officers could not even tell if the person was actually home. A lieutenant from this precinct has responded to that location and made contact with the victim and gone to the suspect's house over 20 times. That lieutenant alone, not to mention the officers that worked for him on the Southside React team, as well as the patrol officers who have responded there. He has waited outside the house, the lieutenant has waited outside the house for the suspect to leave during the hours when the victim told him that the suspect does leave the house. But the lieutenant has never actually seen the suspect outside the house. Same lieutenant gave this victim his phone number and asked the victim to call the lieutenant directly when he sees this person outside the house. The lieutenant never received a phone call from the victim indicating that the person was outside the house. In addition, the situation escalated in part by actions that were precipitated by the victim. And MPD has been working to lawfully and safely effect the arrest warrants that have been issued, with the utmost priority to the sanctity of human life. Now, because of the intense attention on this, that this incident has drawn, my officers are in even greater danger when trying to make an arrest. If the suspect did not know before that we were looking for him, he certainly knows now. This incident highlights the sad reality of how the current rhetoric around policing in this city and changings surrounding law enforcement in general hampers our ability to effect lawful arrests. This incident shows how it does not only negatively impact community safety, but the individual officers involved. Anyone who suggests that the cops don't want to arrest this person is simply wrong. To be frank, the officers, however, are scared. They're scared of being prosecuted if they get into a situation where they make a mistake trying to do their job and protect the public. I'm sick and tired of hearing this situation. The reality we are in is you are damned if you do and damned if you don't, and it's got to end. If we did go in with a SWAT team and wound up in a deadly force situation, the headlines would read, "MPD shoots a mentally ill person." Because we have not and have been trying to safely take this person into custody without further injecting violence into the situation, the headlines might read, "MPD refuses to arrest suspect." This type of incident affecting the safety of our residents is the predictable consequence of the type of rhetoric and actions that have been common. We have made incredible progress in the city over the last few years, but we still have a long way to go. At some point, somebody needs to step up and say, enough is enough. We need to do our jobs. Today, that person is me. And I'll take any questions that you may have.
Chief, what's your reaction to the letter from the council saying that the department's inaction escalated to this shooting?
It's beyond disappointing. You know, I did not receive one single phone call from an elected official asking for facts. So I thought we were on the same team. Apparently not. And that's a bad situation for the residents of the city. The police in this city are not politicians. I am not a political actor in the city. We are the police for everyone. And you know, we should not have, you know, this type of back and forth without any factual information at all, without any attempt to get it.
One more question. Chief, do you believe that the suspect is currently still at his residence, or do you think he may have fled somewhere else?
I don't want to disclose that at this time because we are working around the clock to safely bring him into custody, including talking to family members, including talking to mental health professionals. You know, we are not going to bust the door down, guns blazing, and get into a deadly force situation. That's not going to happen. But we will ensure the community will be safe around the clock there, mark my words, as long as it takes to safely take this person into custody.